Everybody, Jim and Joshua here to talk about Avengers. Now, perhaps you've seen Avengers Age of Ultron. Perhaps you can't wait to see Avengers Age of Ultron. You need an Avengers fix? Here are 15 Avengers stories you need to check out right now.
Yes.
So let's start with number 15, the Kree-Skrull War.
This is the one that started it all.
This is the granddaddy.
This is like the big first Avengers event back in the day. And by the way, we're doing these in chronological order. These aren't like ranked from best to worst. I think you should read all of these. But yeah, pick the one that speaks to you. But yeah, so this is the one where like the Kree and the Skrull are like two warring alien factions, and suddenly Earth gets caught in the middle, and the Avengers have to step in.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I remember that one. I mean, not from when it came out, but I remember growing up with it. The Korvac saga. Now, this is another popular one that a lot of folks might know from. I believe it was basis in some of the animated stuff. But
Yeah, Earth Mightiest Heroes is a great episode of that, or maybe I think it's a two-parter. But yeah, it's Michael Korvac who becomes pretty much like god-like beings. Not like Thor-like god, where you're like really durable, but you can use like energy and you can like warp eternity, like the all of reality. And so how do the Avengers stop that? If you're always wondering how the Avengers take on someone, a threat they can't punch,
right,
that's a story for you.
Yeah, who knew? A god named Michael. Isn't that something? Knights of Wundagore. It sounds like a Will Ferrell like spoof, but Knights of Wundagore.
This one is where the Avengers go to Wundagore Mountain and they battle the High Evolutionary and sort of these like animal people creatures. And it's also where we learned that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were the children of Magneto. Which is why it's notable for them. So if you want to learn about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are in the upcoming movie, it's a good story for them. And I must note that in the comics, they've actually retconned it, so that's no longer the fact he's not their father.
Right.
But it's still a good story. You should still read it.
Enjoy it back when it was.
Yeah.
So there we go. Number 12, Under Siege.
Under Siege. See, this one isn't some like universal like conflict like that. It's really just the Avengers. The crap gets beaten out of them by the Masters of Evil, who are sort of like their, the Justice League, and the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
This is their they're
They
polar
are
opposite.
Masters
Yeah.
of Evil. There we go.
So yeah, and it's just really just seeing them getting beaten down to their lowest level and then picking themselves back up and be heroes. It's pretty cool.
All right, Avengers Forever.
Avengers Forever. This one is just this 12-part awesome like epic series. And what it really does is embraces the continuity of the Avengers, and that's sort of like a four-letter word for a lot of people, because if you read the comics and you like a lot of them, it'll really embellish like all of those details and you'll learn a lot about the characters. But if you're new to it, it's kind of hard to get into it. But if you get through it, it's kind of dense, like a Game of Thrones novel, but it's really rewarding once you get through it.
All right, number 10, Ultron Unlimited.
Oh man, okay, this one, if you go into the movie, or you want to maybe prep yourself for the movie, read this comic. This is the best Ultron story out there, and he does something so evil. I can't even believe it. You've seen the movie.
Yes.
I have not.
Yes.
I don't want to say what happens because it might be in the movie. It's so crazy what he does. But the Avengers have to stop him.
He cancels Game of Thrones.
No!
See.
And I'll say it also just has my favorite, one of my favorite Thor moments ever, to where they like bust through this wall. The Avengers are battered and bloody and broken, and they finally get to Ultron, and he goes, "Ultron, we would have words with thee." It's awesome.
Kool-Aid Man moment. All right, I like that. All right.
Way to suck the cool out of that.
I'm just saying. I don't know. The Kang Dynasty.
This is where Kang, like the time-traveling warlord, we'll call him, actually takes over the world. So it's absolutely devastating to see when that happens. But then to see the Avengers like somehow overcome that is truly pretty amazing.
Fantastic. 8, The Ultimates.
The Ultimates. This is the one where Marvel just made an alternate universe where they restarted all of the stories in modern times. This heavily influenced all the movies. It has Captain America's more streamlined suit. It's got Black Nick Fury. There's even a scene where they're talking about who would play which character in a movie, and Nick Fury is like, "Oh, I think Samuel Jackson would play me," and that happened. So if you want, and it's actually a very dark like twist on everything. So if you really like the movies, definitely check out the Ultimates.
All right, Red Zone.
Red Zone. This one's actually by Jeff Johns, which is really funny because he is
Such
like
a DC guy.
Yeah, he's DC and has been exclusive. He's the CCO. He's known for being a DC guy. But first he did like a 2-year run on Avengers, And it's another threat the Avengers can't punch, where this incurable disease is causing people's skin to melt off, leaving with like a red, bloody face behind. Which I don't want to say who's behind it, but you can probably guess.
Yeah. Number 6, the aptly named Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah, not to be confused with the TV show, which we were talking about earlier, which is pretty awesome. But this one is sort of harkens back to the like fun, whimsical origins of all the characters, but then ties them into like the modern, like political, dramatic landscape. So it's sort of like a very Avengers story for the ages. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Number 5, New Avengers.
Now, New Avengers is where the Avengers franchise really kicked off and became something like another level. It wasn't always like the top dog, and there's usually just like one Avengers book. But now there's like a dozen. There's like Secret Avengers, Avengers AI, Uncanny Avengers, all this stuff. This is where it all started, when Brian Michael Bendis like pretty much destroyed the team in a storyline called Avengers Disassembled with some other writers, and then relaunched it by adding Wolverine and Spider-Man and some other like sort of new members, in addition to classic members like Iron Man, Captain America. So this was like where it all began. Absolutely great story, very energetic, very funny, and he seeds a lot of things in this initial story that come like years down the line.
Oh, nice. Young Avengers.
Young Avengers is, it sounds corny, I know, with a bunch of like, you think like, oh, teen heroes, that's stupid. These are sidekicks. These aren't sidekicks. These are just kids like with abilities who sort of were inspired by the Avengers to like fight crime and like save the world in their own way. And one example would be like this guy, Wiccan, dresses up like Thor, but he doesn't have like Thor's powers. He's a magician, so he uses lightning powers to sort of be like Thor, but eventually he realizes he needs to be his own hero, and he just becomes like a more sorcerer.
So knock off the cosplay.
Yeah.
The lesson. Okay.
I don't think it's cosplay. I like cosplay.
Now here's a big one. Number 3, Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War is not really an Avengers story, but it really actually is, because it's the two Avengers at its heart, Iron Man and Captain America, warring on how superheroes should operate, where they should register with the government, that's Iron Man's side, or where they should just be heroes and do their own thing, that's Captain America's argument. It's got the X-Men and Fantastic Four and stuff in it, but ultimately it's an Avengers story at its heart.
Dark Avengers.
Dark Avengers is Norman Osborn, the Spider-Man villain, Green Goblin, took over the Marvel Universe and made his own Avengers. And to the public, they thought these were the actual Avengers, but Venom was masquerading as Spider-Man, and Bullseye was pretending to be Hawkeye, and like so on and so forth. And so it's really interesting just to see them try and be Avengers and try and be heroes, but then all the infighting. Norman Osborn is slowly becoming like the Green Goblin again. It's like his mental proclivities are wearing down, so it's pretty good.
Okay, now number 1. Numero uno, Uncanny Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers is the follow-up to the Avengers versus X-Men conflict, where they try to, kiss and make up and made the Avengers Unity Squad. So it's got half X-Men, half Avengers in together, and you really get like the dysfunction of the X-Men books with the grand scale of the Avengers books all together in one story. And it was nominated for Best Series of the Year on IGN last year, so it's actually very good in quality. And it has another one of my favorite.
If you do say so yourself.
Yes, I may have had something to do with those nominations. Another one of my favorite Thor moments, where I won't say who he's beating up, but he's like beating the crap out of this guy who's just, saying their big plan and everything, and he's like, I cannot, and he keeps smashing him with his hammer. So good.
Just which one of these is your favorite?
Ultron Unlimited is really, it's just in my blood right now because the movie's coming up. So I'd say if you had to read one, start with that one, but then definitely check out the rest.
Okay, guys. Well, let us know in the comments below what you think of these stories, which ones you're going to start reading. And for all things Avengers, keep it here on IGN.